So you're sad. Like, really sad. The kind of sad where you can't even remember why you got out of bed this morning. Oh wait, you didn't. You just laid there, staring at the ceiling, wondering if anyone would notice if you turned into a puddle of existential dread. Well, congratulations. You might be depressed. Or you might just be a penguin. I'm a penguin, and let me tell you, we invented sadness. We literally waddle around in negative 40 degrees, wearing the same tuxedo every single day, eating raw fish and standing on ice for months waiting for an egg to hatch. And you think your life is hard? Please, sit down. Actually, don't sit down. You're probably already sitting. Or lying down. Yeah, I know you. Today, I'm going to explain depression the only way that makes sense, through the eyes of a severely depressed penguin who has seen some stuff. Buckle up, Buttercup. This is going to get dark. And cold. Mostly cold. Let me tell you about my life. Every morning, I wake up. Well, I don't really wake up because I never really sleep. I just exist in this weird state of consciousness where I'm aware that I'm cold, hungry, and surrounded by 10,000 other penguins who all look exactly like me. It's like living in a mirror maze, except everyone is screaming and smells like fish. One day, I realized something horrifying. I had been standing in the exact same spot for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Do you know what I did during those 3 weeks? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I just stood there, shifting my weight from one foot to the other, thinking about how meaningless everything is. My buddy Gerald waddled past me and said, "Hey, nice day, huh? Nice day? Nice day? Gerald, it's negative 37 degrees. The sun hasn't come up in 2 months, and I haven't seen my feet since October. What exactly is nice about this day?" But I didn't say that. You know what I said? I said, "Yeah, totally, because that's what you do when you're depressed. You lie. You put on your little penguin smile and you lie through your beak because it's easier than explaining that your soul feels like it's been flash frozen and shattered into a million pieces." So what is depression really? Well, according to humans with fancy degrees and clipboards, depression is a mental health disorder characterized by persistent feelings of sadness, hopelessness, and loss of interest in activities. Blah, blah, blah. Let me translate that into penguin for you. Depression is when your brain decides to become your worst enemy. It's like having a tiny evil narrator living in your head, and this narrator hates you. Every single thought you have, this little voice twists it into something terrible. You think, maybe I'll go for a swim today. And the voice says, why bother? The ocean is cold and full of seals that want to eat you. Also, you're a terrible swimmer. Remember last Tuesday when you belly flopped? Everyone laughed. And suddenly, swimming doesn't sound fun anymore. Nothing sounds fun anymore. Here's the thing about depression that nobody tells you. It's not just being sad. Sad is when your fish gets stolen by a seagull. That's sad. You're upset for a bit, then you move on and find another fish. Depression is when your fish gets stolen, and then you convince yourself you never deserved the fish in the first place. You probably deserve to have it stolen. You're a terrible penguin. Why would any fish want to be eaten by you? You should just stop eating fish altogether. See how that escalated? That's depression. It takes a normal bad moment and turns it into a full existential crisis about your worth as a living creature. The scientific term is major depressive disorder, and it messes with your brain chemistry. Specifically, it messes with neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. These are the little chemical messengers that are supposed to make you feel good, motivated, and alive. But when you're depressed, it's like these messengers went on strike. They just stopped showing up to work. Your brain is screaming, "Hello, can I get some happiness over here?" And serotonin is like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm going to sit this one out." So you're left feeling empty, exhausted, and completely disconnected from everything that used to bring you joy. For me, that was sliding on my belly. I used to love that. Now, I look at a nice icy slope and think, what's the point? I'll just slide down and have to waddle back up. It's meaningless. So one day, my therapist, a very judgmental albatross named Dr. Henderson, told me I needed to confront my avoidance behaviors. I said, "Duck, I'm a penguin. Avoidance is literally my survival strategy. You see a leopard seal, you don't confront it, you avoid it." Aggressively. He said, No, I'm talking about the things you avoid that aren't trying to eat you, like social interaction, When was the last time you huddled with the colony for warmth? I thought about it. Honestly, I couldn't remember. I had been standing on the outskirts of the huddle for so long, I forgot what it felt like to be warm. But the thought of waddling into the middle of all those penguins, squeezing between their bodies, feeling their flippers touch me, absolutely terrifying. What if they didn't want me there? What if I waddled in and everyone shifted away from me? What if I smelled bad? Do I smell bad? I probably smell bad. Dr. Henderson stared at me with his beady little eyes and said, "You're doing it again. The spiral. Stop spiraling." Easy for him to say. He can fly away from his problems. I have to waddle through mine. But he had a point. So I decided to do it. I was going to waddle into that huddle. I psyched myself up. I gave myself a pep talk. You can do this. You're a penguin. Huddling is what penguins do. It's in your DNA. You've got this. I started waddling toward the colony. Every step felt like walking through concrete. My flippers were shaking, my heart was racing. And then, just as I got close, Gerald popped out of the huddle and said, Hey, you're finally joining us. We were wondering when you'd show up. Come on, there's a spot right here." And just like that, I was in, surrounded by warm bodies, flippers everywhere. And you know what? It wasn't terrible. It was actually kind of nice. For about 30 seconds. Then my brain kicked in again. Okay, but how long do you have to stay here? What if you need to leave? What if leaving is rude? What if everyone thinks you're weird for leaving too soon? Or staying too long? Oh no, how long is too long? Is there a huddling etiquette you don't know about? And just like that, the anxiety was back. But here's the thing, I stayed. Even though my brain was screaming at me to run, I stayed in that huddle for a full hour. And when I finally waddled out, I realized something important. The hardest part wasn't the huddling. The hardest part was starting the waddle. Here's what nobody tells you about fighting depression. It doesn't go away just because you did one brave thing. I didn't waddle out of that huddle suddenly cured, with sunshine shooting out of my flippers and a newfound love for life. No, I waddled out exhausted, confused, and still pretty sad. But something had shifted, maybe just a tiny bit, like 1 degree warmer in a blizzard. You don't really notice it, but it's there. Depression tricks you into thinking that because you feel bad, everything is bad, and it will always be bad. That's the lie. That's the trap. Your brain becomes this echo chamber of negativity, and every thought just bounces around, getting louder and darker until you can't hear anything else. But here's the truth that took me way too long to learn. Feelings are not facts. Just because I feel worthless doesn't mean I am worthless. Just because I feel like nobody cares doesn't mean nobody cares. Gerald cared? That stupid, optimistic, annoyingly happy penguin actually noticed I wasn't in the huddle. He noticed. And when he saw me coming, he made space for me. The thing about depression is that it isolates you. It convinces you that you're alone, that you're the only one struggling, that everyone else has it figured out. But you know what I learned? We're all just cold penguins standing on ice, pretending we're fine. Some of us are just better at hiding it. That penguin next to you in the huddle, the one who looks perfectly content, she's probably dealing with her own stuff too. Maybe her egg didn't hatch last season. Maybe she's worried about the shrinking ice. Maybe she's just tired of eating the same fish every single day. We're all out here struggling in our own ways, but we're so busy pretending everything is okay that we forget we're supposed to huddle together. That's literally what we're built for. Dr. Henderson told me something that actually made sense. He said, depression is like being stuck in a blizzard. You can't see anything in front of you. Everything is white noise and cold wind. And your instinct is to curl up and wait for it to pass. But sometimes the blizzard doesn't pass. Sometimes you have to walk through it. And the only way to walk through it is one waddle at a time. You don't need to see the end of the blizzard. You just need to see the next step, and then the next one. And eventually, maybe, you find yourself somewhere warmer. So what do you actually do when you're stuck in the blizzard? When your brain is telling you that everything is pointless and you should just give up? Well, here's what worked for this depressed penguin, and maybe it'll work for you too. First, stop waiting to feel better before you do things. That's backwards. Depression wants you to wait. It wants you to stay in bed, or on your ice patch, or wherever you've been hiding until you magically feel motivated. But here's the secret. You have to do the thing first, and then maybe, possibly, eventually, you might feel a little better. I didn't feel like joining the huddle. I felt like staying exactly where I was, frozen in my sad little spot. But I waddled anyway. Action first, feelings later. Second, find your Gerald. Find that one annoying, persistently kind creature who refuses to let you disappear completely. You don't need a whole support system. You just need one. One penguin who notices when you're not there, one friend who texts you even when you don't text back, one person who makes space for you in the huddle. And here's the hard part. When they reach out, you have to let them in. Even when your brain is screaming that you're a burden, that they don't really care, that you're bothering them, let them in anyway. Third, do something small. And I mean really small. I'm not talking about solving your whole life or fixing everything that's broken. I'm talking about eating one fish, taking one swim, waddling 10 steps instead of 0. Depression makes everything feel impossible, so you have to make things so small that they're almost stupid. Can't clean your whole den? Clean one corner. Can't exercise for an hour? Waddle for 2 minutes. Can't fix your entire life? Just fix breakfast. The goal isn't to be productive or impressive. The goal is to prove to your brain that you can still do things, even tiny things, even when it feels impossible. Fourth, and this is crucial, talk to someone who actually knows what they're doing. Dr. Henderson is annoying, yes, but he went to Albatross Medical School for a reason. There are humans out there, therapists and doctors, who understand brain chemistry and can actually help. Sometimes you need more than willpower and waddles. Sometimes you need medication or therapy or both, and that's okay. That's not weakness. That's just being smart enough to ask for help when your brain is actively working against you. Finally, be patient with yourself. Recovery isn't linear. Some days you'll waddle into the huddle with confidence. Other days you'll stand at the edge, too scared to move. Some days you'll feel almost normal. Other days the blizzard will be so thick you can't see your own flippers. That's okay. That's part of it. You're not failing just because you had a bad day. You're not back at square one just because you struggled. You're just in the blizzard. And blizzards are hard. And you're doing the best you can. And honestly, that's enough. So there you have it. Depression explained by a penguin who is clinically tired of standing on ice. Look, I'm not going to stand here and tell you that everything gets better, that the sun always comes out, that if you just think positive thoughts, your brain will magically start producing serotonin again. That's not how it works. Sometimes it gets better. Sometimes it gets worse. Sometimes it just gets different. But here's what I know for sure. You're not alone in this blizzard. Even when it feels like you are. There are other penguins out there standing on their own patches of ice, feeling exactly what you're feeling. And maybe, just maybe, if we all waddle a little closer together, we can make it through the winter. Depression lies to you. It tells you you're worthless, that nothing matters, that no one would care if you disappeared. But Gerald cared. Dr. Henderson cared, even though he charged me an obscene amount of fish for therapy. And somewhere out there, someone cares about you too, even if your brain is currently trying to convince you otherwise. So do me a favor. If you're in the blizzard right now, just waddle one step. Just one. You don't have to join the whole huddle today. You don't have to fix everything or feel amazing or suddenly become a functional member of Penguin Society. Just take one step. Eat one meal. Send one message. Get out of bed. Even if you get right back in, do one tiny thing that proves you're still here, still fighting, still waddling through the storm. And if you can't do it today, that's okay too. Tomorrow is another day, another chance to waddle. The ice isn't going anywhere, and neither are you. If this resonated with you, or if you've got your own depressed penguin story, leave a comment. Let's build a huddle down there. Share your one tiny step. Tell me about your Gerald. Or just drop a fish emoji so I know you made it to the end of this video. We're all just cold birds trying to survive, and maybe that's okay. Stay strong, stay waddling, and remember, even penguins need therapy sometimes.